Hi everyone, it's Vic from At Forever Scrapping again, using some of my Think Happy kit that I got from Lottie Loves Paper, mixed with some Truly Grateful. So the kit had a really beautiful sheet of paper from Amy Tangerine's Slice of Life collection with all these little leaves on, and I've been waiting to fussy cut them all out. I've still got about a third of my sheet left, and my layout originally was going to have leaves falling down the page, but it really wasn't working out very well, so I cut a circle, a ring, out of some cardstock and then layered the leaves up on top of it, and I was really pleased with how that turned out. I absolutely loved it. My only wish was that I'd made it bigger in the first place, but never mind, hindsight's a wonderful thing. So just went with it and decided that I would use it as a frame on my layout. So found this lovely photograph of my daughter posing 6 years ago. So she'd have been, 6, 7 then, for me. It was like a little mini photo shoot, and we had a great time with it. So I decided it framed it really nicely. So my background that I'm doing here with Distress Oxide inks went a little bit pear-shaped as well. That didn't quite turn out how it was meant to be, but I just went with it. As with most mixed media, you end up covering most of it anyway. So I just went with the flow and decided that actually it really made that frame of those leaves really pop out from the page. So just had some fun with it and splattered some pink and blue Distress Oxide inks on top as well. So I'm also loving still the Truly Grateful collection from Paige Taylor Evans, and I still have some of those really lovely trees on that piece of paper left, so use those on the page as well. I thought they tied in really well with the leaves off of the Amy Tangerine paper. So the idea was that the leaves had fallen off the tree and it was all autumnal. So originally this was going to be the design of my layout, but I just felt it was floating a little bit too much on the page. Really pleased with how the leaves looked at the bottom, but as you'll see in a bit, I add something on just to ground it all a bit more. One of my previous layouts was of my youngest daughter at Cliveden. This one is my eldest daughter, and that was on the same day as well. And I still had some of that cut file left that I'd used on that layout. So to add a little bit more layered texture and interest to the page, and as it had leaves on it as well, I used that behind my frame just to add a bit more interest to my page. So here we go, look, clearing all the leaves off. Wasn't happy with it. I liked the idea of the leaves being on the ground, but they just floated and it wasn't working. So I needed something to ground my layout. So used a couple more papers from that Paige Taylor Evans collection. I just love the colours, the brightness and that. I would never, when I first started scrapbooking, have used papers like this, but I really like them now. Really nice and bold. So just sticking down the bottom of it, I wanted the jaggedy edges to be a little bit raised from my layout, just to add some more depth to the page. So just did like the bottom side of the paper with the glue there. So sticking down some of those trees. Everybody is loving that paper, and I love all the layouts everyone's created with that tree paper from Paige. All the fussy cutting. I don't think I've seen a layout that's the same yet, and I just think they're brilliant. They're so bright and colourful, and there's so many things. I've seen like a massive tree made with all of them, and then little trees added here and there. Just think they're really fun. So there we go, starting to stick a few things down now. I'm certain that's where I want my trees to be. And the cut file as well. Sorry if you can hear a little bit of noise in the background. That is one of my cats snoring. So if you can hear him, please excuse him. He's fast asleep. So I wanted to raise up some of the trees, and I raised up the this photograph and the frame as well. So just use some kiddies foam rather than the sticky back foam. It's a lot cheaper to do it this way, and sticking them on. And that way it just adds a bit more dimension to my page. So I'm pretty happy now with how it's all turning out. Just using my scissors there to check that it is fairly central. There's nothing worse than doing your layout and then it not being quite how you want it. I'm just a bit too much of a perfectionist, which is not a good thing. But yes, so I thought I'd use some of the letters from the page paper there to make my title. So luckily on the piece that I had left, they had the right amount of letters that I needed to spell out Cliveden. And I was going to leave them square or like this, but I decided it was too white on the page and detracting really from the photograph. So just seeing if they fit nicely, which they do, but then I've just skipped a bit there. You don't need to see me fussy cutting everything, so I fussy cut around those letters in the end, just so they weren't quite so in your face. I didn't want anything detracting from that photograph of my daughter. I mean, I love creating layouts and I love the creative side of it and the arty side of it, but to me it's more about documenting the memories and the photograph. Sometimes your photograph can get a bit lost on a layout, and I really didn't want that to happen. So just sticking up the top layer of these bottom bits of paper now along the torn edges, and I used some glue dots for that to add a little bit of height. I think I'd run out of foam pads, like little sticky foam pads, so the glue dots just add a tiny bit of dimension. And then went along that white edge on the torn paper with some of my distress inks, and I think that one was the worn lipstick. I just wanted to bring the pink from those trees down into my layout a bit further down, just to try and tie it all together a bit more. So just rearranging the title now. And then as you'll see, I then go back and start putting on all the leaves, the fallen leaves. And because I've layered those torn papers at the bottom and used glue dots to layer them up a little bit, I'm able just to tuck a few little leaves behind so that they're poking out. So I've been waiting for ages to use that leaf paper from Amy Tangerine. I was going to use it originally for a real autumnal photo. I had an idea of, I was going to go to a place called Ashridge Estate, the deer rut there in October, and it's really something amazing to see, but the weather wasn't great and I just didn't have time to go out and get the photographs that I was hoping for to use that paper with. So I've waited a long time to use it. It's been stashed away and taken back out of the drawer again and looked at and things, and I finally decided to make the plunge and sat myself on the sofa with a cup of tea in front of the TV and fussy cut the leaves out. It did take a while, but I'm so pleased with how they turned out, and I think by leaving a little white line around them, not being so precise with the fussy cutting, actually makes them pop from the page even more. So trying to balance my page out now, I've done my hand journaling underneath, but to me it was a little bit lopsided. It wasn't quite central, which I was really annoyed about. So as you'll see later, I start trying to balance it out. So I'm using some of the sticky leaves off the sticker sheet from the Slice of Life collection to try and balance out a little bit, but still wasn't too happy about it, and found a really nice, there we go, that little ring there with leaves on. Thought I'd put it there, but then decided I'd move those leaves, pop that down and put one up the top, and then it just makes the page flow a little bit more. So move my little sticker leaves around. I also used some of the foam stickers from the Truly Grateful collection on this as well, and finished it off with a few Nouveau drops, a couple of toadstools. So that's it really. I hope you've enjoyed my video. I shall leave you to watch the end bit with me faffing around and just adding all the little finishing touches to it. Thank you very much for watching. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. Really appreciate it. Or hit that like button and follow me if you like too. Thank you for watching, and this was Vic from @Forever Scrapping, using the Think Happy kit from Lottie Loves Paper mixed with the Truly Grateful by Paige Taylor Evans. Thanks for watching. Bye.